let me start my session. I think this is nothing can be more appropriate than today's happening, what is happening in this world. Cyber immunity is the right subject which should be deliberated by all the stakeholders. So we decided to talk about cyber immunity precisely because of certain kind of thing which is happening in the industry, which made all of us think that there are a lot of things from the cyber world to mimic to the human world, and there are certain things in the human immunity which has to be mimicked to the cyber immunity. Because the kind of thing which is happening now, the COVID-19 and all sort of things, this could be a zero-day threat to the human world. But if you look at the cyber world, the zero-day threats keeps happening almost every day. So let's understand that when you are managing this COVID-19 pandemic, what is that a takeaway from all of us, and which you can take and use that in the cyber world and make this cyber security more resilient, and we may decide to call it as a cyber immunity. Just a thought. I'm thinking that it's a very new perspective. So before I start talking anything about cyber immunity or immunity per se, so we should understand that what is the threat around us. So we have a lot of threats. All of us know every day, every now and then. We have viruses, we have carcinogens, we have pollutions, we have germs, toxins, there are bacteria, there are parasites, there are so many threats. And apart from those, we always have different kind of threats like social engineering, phishing, zero-day threats, cyberbullying, all sort of things happening in the cyber world. For an individual perspective, threat is a threat. It may happen from the normal world or it may happen from the cyber world. What I'm trying to say that for a normal human being, threat is something which will happen on a daily basis. We are always surrounded by threats. Even if we are always surrounded by threats, not all of us fall sick every now and then. Some people may fall sick sometimes, some people may not fall sick sometimes. So it doesn't happen that because there is a threat and we are able to, the threat gets materialized and I will fall sick. It doesn't happen always. Why it doesn't happen always is because of this cyber immunity. So this, I mean the immunity, the normal immunity. It's actually, if you look at what is this immunity, it is actually a control which resists the infections or the disease. What's happening in, what are the challenges in mimicking this human immune system into this cyber immune system? So first thing is integrated defense in depth. So the integration defense in depth happens because in case of human being, there are not many architects in constructing a human being. There is one architect, you know whom I am meaning. God is the only architect of creating a human being. In case of cyber system, there are multiple systems, multiple operating systems, there are multiple versions, multiple security systems, and most of the time the security is not by design. So we have a challenge in actually making sure that all my defenses, they talk to each other, not only security defenses, even to the host, the operating systems. Everybody works in a very coordinated way. That is precisely because there are so many service providers, so many vendors, so many solutions, so many versions, all sort of things. So things are more complex in cyber system. About whitelisting, I told you, in case of human, whitelisting is very easy, comparatively easier rather, because more or less we are very clear that what makes a human being. I'm talking about anatomically or physiologically or biologically, but very difficult to understand here because again for this dynamism, there are so many systems, two very identical systems because the driver may be different, the operating system may be different. Some solutions may be in some version, some is not in the some version. And there are a lot of end of life systems. So the end of life system is a concept which is there only in the case of cyber system. First time this end of life system came to some extent came to the human immune system when people started talking that people above 65-year age, they cannot do this thing, cannot do that thing. A kind of feeling which came there, probably the end of life system. You don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to compare something which is not comparable, but kind of this very clearly that these are the people who are more vulnerable. So there is certain different protocol for them. The same kind of this thing in cyber system we manage every day in and day out. There are so many end of life systems which has to work because there are a lot of applications which is dependent on that kind of OS. So there is not a very clear coordination between the host and the other applications on that host. So that's the problem. We will try to see how we can solve that problem when you come to the designing of the cyber immune system. Then coming to the learn from the attack on a real time and create a signature on the fly. There are a lot of 0 days. The 0 days are, I think this is the only time when we felt, we as the cybersecurity practitioner, we felt that there are something for these people who are controlling COVID, has something to take from us, that how you manage 0 day threat every day in and day out. For us, there is no threat which is not 0 day threat nowadays. And the way we manage 0 day threat is exactly the way COVID-19 has to be managed. So for us, learning from the attack and create a signature of fly, it becomes a little difficult because many times our attacks are very stealth and the multiple 0 day vulnerabilities and lack of efficient whitelisting, all sort of things are there. Then visible symptoms when immune system doesn't work optimally, more or less same. Nowadays, there are a lot of same kind of thing which is happening with in cyber system also. You might have seen the Maze ransomware which came, and I don't want to name the company, which affected a couple of very great companies in the globe. So how it happens is it came very, very innocuously, it came inside. It is, of course, it was a 0 day. That is why the gateway defenses could not detect it. It came inside, stayed stealthily inside without any symptoms at all, and tried to send data outside, exfiltrate data outside. After certain time, it encrypts the disk and gives a mail that I have already exfiltrated your data and encrypted your disk. If you don't give me the ransomware, I will neither give you the key. I will also publish the data which you have already taken in some media. So you have a reputational loss. Very, very complex, motivated attack. And what I'm trying to say is it was very stealthy, very, very stealth, very difficult to know that this attack is inside your organizations. So that's something which has started happening, and we are kind of aware, and there are a lot of defenses today. They are in the cyber system to fight that out also. I'll talk about that. And there are ways to enhance the effective the immune systems. Yes, there are multiple ways here also to enhance the effectiveness of the immune system. One of the thing is like we do it more frequently. Like if you look at the way you patch our system, patching is nothing but enhancing the effectiveness of the immune systems. We patch almost multiple times, sometimes a day. Our signature update happen multiple times in a day. Patching happens say once in a week, or in bigger systems once in a quarter. All sort of thing happens, and we have a patching cadence, and has become more frequent. And we have multiple ways in cyber system also to make sure that we increase the effectiveness of the cyber immune system. Coming to the functional design of a cyber immune system. So from the functional design, we'll try to design a cyber immune system. So I'll talk something. I will not try to quote what is more, quote something what other like Forrester and Gartner they have told, but kind of the same kind of thing. Like essentially they are same. Like when I'm talking about continuous risk and trust assessment to layers of defenses, I'm actually referring to CARTA, which is in Gartner connotations, and I'm referring to the zero trust, which is a Forrester's connotations. So actually continuous risk and trust assessment to layers of defenses. Gone are the days when we will try to prevent everything. As I always passionately feel that prevention will only work when the dynamism of the system is known to us. When the dynamism of the system is not known, then prevention is not very efficient system. So you have to have prevention, detection, corrections, some kind of compensating control. So multiple layers of defenses should be there. And more than anything, you need to understand the risk and trust assessment in a continuous way. That means allow people to do things, but try to monitor what they are doing or what this action, so that you can do reinforcement of control or step up the control at any given point in time. So this is one of the requirements. We'll see that how you will use this in designing the cyber immune system. Then coming to all the layers of defenses should be able to talk to each other seamlessly. This is very fascinating to me. And I personally feel that this is something which is not there today in the cyber systems. Every system is discrete system. So we try to integrate in our own way. There are smart CISOs, we do it much better way, but there are many CISOs who will find that this is the pain area where all their systems are not talking to each other the way they want that thing to happen. So this coordinated way of action is absent today in the cyber immune system. That's a great thing which you should learn from the human immune system. Then the first line of defenses is normally my firewall, my antivirus systems, APT systems, all sort of things. These will help me in preventing and detecting normally all these kind of threats, except the very zero-day threats and all kind of things. Even few 0 days also can be detected here. Second line is essentially for the 0 day, while the first line is for the normal threats. The second line is for the 0 day threats, and it will again talk to the first line. And the third line is very specific, adaptive, like upward immunity. It will increase, like the maturity of the organization will increase. It's essentially, I'm talking about the first one, the continuous risk and trust assessment. This is nothing but the third line of defense. The third line of defense is actually, if we are able to, the matured organizations have a fantastic third line of defense. They understand what's happening on the fly, and they can give the input on a real-time basis to the first line and the second line of defenses. This is very, very important thing. It is told not only now, it has been, everybody is talking this for a long time, but now only people are trying to understand this. Is like security should be part of the design of the systems. Like it should include identification, protection, detection, response, and recovery. The words which I'm saying, I told in the beginning that I'm not trying to use the Gartner, the Forrester's, all sort of things. The one, this identification, protection, detection, response, and recovery is actually an NIST framework. So this should be part of this, security should be part of the design of the systems and should include all sort of things. So these 6 items which I've told here is actually, I will take these 6 items to try to design a cyber immune systems, a future cyber immune systems. How to have the cyber immune systems? Like you have a first line of defenses, you have firewall, antivirus, access control, all sort of things are first line of defenses. And your second line of defenses is your anti-APT, anti-malware, your web application firewall. Here I'm just giving one example. If I'm sure a lot of security people are listening to it. See, all of us face a very peculiar problem. Like, let's say there is a threat which is coming, and this is a very known virus, and there is a known signature, and it is prevented by your gateway defenses. There will be definitely a signature, whatever maybe semantics of the world or McAfee or Trend Micro or whatever, they will protect it. I'm sure they have the signature, they will protect it. Sometimes what happens, there are certain things which bypasses that because they are not updated. They are all 0 day threats. It comes inside. When it comes inside, normally we have another line of control, which is like another layers of defenses, which is maybe anti-APT or anti-malware or all kind of things. And they detect it. When they detect it and prevent it, what you do normally is, we try to get that signature and send it to my first line defense vendor. Like if I'm using Symantec, I will send it to Symantec. If I'm using McAfee, I will send it to McAfee, telling that, hey, your system could not prevent it. Our other system, which is by 0 day threat, which could prevent it. All the customers of the respective vendor, they will send these signatures or they send this hash to them. And this is how the ecosystem works. And they will take the hash and they will develop the system, develop this signature, and the signature will come in 1-2 days. and it will again become the first line of defenses. So there is a lag of say 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, something. It has become very efficient. It used to be 1 week, sometimes more than a week. Now it has become efficient. But think of a scenario where I or we don't need to do anything. If there is a 0-day threat which is detected, which has bypassed my first line of control, and it is detected by my second line of defenses, my second line of defenses will automatically call my first line of defenses inside that system and tell that I have detected it, please create a signature, and signature gets created on the fly. It will, I'm sure all of you will appreciate that it will increase the efficiency and make the system more resilient. That's what I'm talking about, the coordinated action, and I have been repeatedly telling that I'm passionate about it. Then the third thing, which is the third line of defense. When I'm talking about the third line of defenses, which is essentially all of us have been talking about managed defense, cyber defense, threat hunting, all sort of things, cyber intelligence, all sort of things we are telling. All these things are very right apt words. I'm not trying to say that these are not the right words. What I'm trying to say that we should call them as third line of defenses, because that is where I am analyzing the threat. I am doing threat hunting in a very different way. So I am doing a lot of anomaly detections. While I do that, I have a mechanism to send that response to my second line of defenses and first line of defenses on the fly, and the signatures or hashes are created on the fly. The authentications are increased, stepped off, risk-based authentication or adaptive authentication comes to the picture. So all sort of things can happen. You have that innate immunity, which is the first line of defenses. Your acquired immunity becomes the third and the second line of defenses. And I just told you the right hand side, you have known threats, and here and you have the unknown threats. So this is how you can actually, this is a functional model of a cyber immune systems. I am just throwing it to the next generation cybersecurity researchers and even the CISOs who can take it and think about it and try to develop something which is more coordinated and which has both first line and second line and third line of defenses, and which takes care of all the 6 required design principles we have discussed earlier in designing the cyber immune system. Now I have certain last thoughts. All HIS, there will be an entropy for the CIS also. Like human immune system, the cyber immune system, there will be entropy. Entropy is just normally, I'm just taking a word from the thermodynamics, but it is actually the normal wear and tear. So which can happen to the cyber immune system also. So be prepared for that. This will happen. Definitely cyber immune systems will, whatever resilient you make it, there will be a normal wear and tear which will happen because your operating system will become old. There will be so many new things which will come up. The applications will become very heavy. So many things will happen. The users base will increase. So you have to have a continuous eye on this CIS to understand that it remains up to date. While overall CIS is very important, all of us are gradually trying to understand very seriously and everybody is trying to appreciate one thing is, well, if you look at the threats in cyber world, how the threat got evolved. The threat got evolved like it came initially to the endpoints. That means the initial threats were all viruses and all sort of things in the computers, in the laptops, in the desktops, in the servers and all sort of things. So from there, the threat traversed to applications. The threat traversed to the network, because computers get connected and the network comes to the picture. Then threat also get traversed to the network. Then from the network, it came to the applications, and then from the endpoint to the network, it came to the applications. If you look at today, threat is more concentrated again in the endpoint. It has come a full circle. The threat is more on the endpoint. So it is very logical to say that the control has to be more on the endpoint. When I'm talking about the endpoint controls, for a human being, the endpoint control is taking care of yourself. What happens is, if you take care of yourself, again, I'm giving the example of COVID-19 because it is very contextual in today's scenario. See, otherwise I would be going to the stage and talking. I would not be sitting at home and talking to you. The kind of government circular comes that sit at home, wash your hand, take this thing, warm water, do yoga, do pranayam, all sort of things are nothing but endpoint control. The same thing is equally important to the cyber world. The basic hygiene of the cyber system has to be taken care of. The minimum baseline security standard, the password control, operation of patches, these are all fantastic endpoint controls which has to be there. Then the flexibility of the cyber system. Cyber system is very flexible. It's not like this human systems. Because this artificial intelligence, that is why we call it artificial intelligence. In cyber systems, when you are saying very difficult to contain COVID-19 because human beings, they are not 100%, they will not accept the instructions. They are not designed to accept 100% instructions. And again, if they accept 100% instructions, then that will be the end of the civilizations. So this is just my thought. So we take the advantage of that. In cyber world, if you give an instructions, all the computers, they will accept these instructions. If you tell them that quarantine, it means it is quarantine. If you tell them that you are self quarantine, that means we tell them that you do a micro segmentation and tell them that you cannot talk to anybody. But the problem there is, again, there is a double-edged sword. Because it is very flexible, we are not able to do the whitelisting approach. The whitelisting approach will not work in the cyber system because it's very flexible. Even you cannot just hash a cyber system and tell that this is the cyber system. Cyber systems will have multiple hashes, always. Every minute you would take a hash, it will be different because so many things are changing. And if you develop the cyber immune system perfectly, what we have discussed, it may not happen overnight. But if you do that, what would happen is it will slowly reduce other security overheads. If eventually it may reduce your security investments also, because you have a system which is auto learning. So your entire system become resilient and it actually decreases all of your security overheads. Last thing is, like, always felt that all this coordination is not happening because we don't have a security data model or a RFC for the interoperability for security with hardware, OS, application, including security control, which is the need of the hour. We should necessarily have a completely security RFC, which has to be implemented across hardware, OS, application, including all security controls. So the data model of the security has to be developed by some organization which is trusted by all the stakeholders. And that would probably become the starting point for building something which I am repeatedly telling, a coordinated defense. I think, guys, this is all from my side about my last thought. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to talk to you. Thanks a lot.